Welcome back. Today, we are diving into one of the most powerful and, one of the most debated verses in the entire New Testament. It's a single moment where God the Father speaks directly to the Son, and what he says is either one of the clearest declarations imaginable or it's a huge misunderstanding. Let's dig in and find out. It's a question a lot of people ask, right? Does the Bible ever just come out and say it? Is there one clear-cut, undeniable moment where Jesus is just straight up called God? And see, that's what makes this so wild. The answer doesn't come from Peter or Paul or any of the disciples. The most direct, the most explicit declaration comes from the highest authority possible, God the Father himself. So the question is, what did he actually say? Okay, so first things first. We have to get into the nitty-gritty of the original Greek text. We really need to see precisely what the author of Hebrews wrote down to understand the sheer weight of this statement. And there it is. The Father is speaking, and he's speaking to the Son. He says, "Your throne, O God." And that one little word, "O," is the whole ballgame. It is the critical difference between talking about somebody and talking to them. So look at the two possibilities here. On one side, you have "your throne is God," which, let's be honest, is a pretty strange metaphor. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But on the other side, you have "your throne, O God," which is a clear, direct address, and the grammar in the original Greek leaves no doubt that the author meant the second one. So there's a grammar term for this. It's called the vocative case. It's basically how you signal that you're talking directly to someone. It's like shouting, "Hey, John!" In Hebrews 1:8, that phrase, "O God," is in the vocative. The Father is, grammatically speaking, saying, "Hey, God," to the Son. And I gotta stress, this isn't us looking back with modern eyes and reinterpreting things. The Greek grammar is rock solid on this. But here is the absolute bombshell. When you look at all the thousands of ancient manuscripts we have, there are zero, and I mean zero, variations on this verse. Every single scribe copied it the exact same way. Okay, but here's where the story takes another fascinating twist. The author of Hebrews didn't just make this up. Nope. He was quoting a text that was already ancient by the time he was writing. Just look at this timeline. It's incredible. Almost 1,000 years before Jesus was even born, Psalm 45 addressed the king of Israel as Elohim, the Hebrew word for God. Then, a couple of hundred years before the New Testament, Jewish scholars translated their own scriptures into Greek, and they kept that direct "O God" address. So the author of Hebrews wasn't pulling a fast one. He was just using the text the way it had been understood for ages. And here it is, right there in the original Hebrew. Kiseacha, Elohim, your throne, O God. This isn't some later Christian idea being read back into the text. It's sitting right there in the Jewish scriptures in the original language. And that is the absolute key takeaway here. When the author of Hebrews used this verse, he wasn't doing anything radical. He was just applying a text that pre-Christian Jewish translators had already decided was a direct address to a figure they called God. Now, the evidence doesn't stop in Greece and Jerusalem. See, as Christianity just exploded across the ancient world, this verse got translated into dozens of other languages. And what we find is this incredible, unified chorus of agreement. I mean, just listen to this roll call of agreement. It's a cascade. If you're reading it in Latin in Rome, Syriac in Mesopotamia, Coptic down in Egypt, or even Armenian, every single time the text said the same thing. You had independent translators working centuries apart, all coming to the exact same conclusion because the grammar was just that clear. Which brings us to probably the most powerful number in this whole explainer: 0. Not one ancient translation, not a single early manuscript offers a different reading. The testimony of the early global church on this verse is totally and completely unanimous. So, if the evidence is that strong, why is there even a debate about it today? Well, that's a great question. Let's tackle the main objections head-on and see if they really hold up. Okay, objection number 1. It's true that the Hebrew word Elohim can sometimes refer to powerful humans, like judges. So couldn't this just be some kind of fancy, poetic title for a human king? Well, here's the problem with that idea. The context around the verse makes that theory just completely fall apart. First, the verse says the throne is forever and ever. No human judge has an eternal throne. Then, just a couple of verses earlier, it says angels have to worship the Son, and worship is reserved for God alone. And if that's not enough, 2 verses later, the Son is called the creator of the heavens and the earth. The whole human judge idea just collapses under the weight of the surrounding text. Okay, now for the toughest objection, the one that really makes you think. The very next verse, verse 9, says, "Therefore God, your God, has anointed you." So wait a minute. If the Son has a God, how can he be God? That really sounds like a flat-out contradiction. Well, the traditional Christian view isn't that this is a contradiction. It's that it's a paradox. Verse 8 is speaking to the Son's eternal divine nature, but verse 9 is speaking about his role as the Messiah in his humanity. The idea is that he can be both fully God by nature and also in his human role have a God. And the ancient mindset is the key to unlocking this. Back then, Father often meant source, and Son meant heir. So the Son isn't some lesser being. He is the heir who receives the Father's full nature. This means the Father can be the Son's God in the sense that he is his source, while the Son is still, by his very nature, fully and truly God. All right, so let's pull all of this together. What's the final verdict? When we stack up all the evidence, a remarkably clear picture starts to form. It's not just one thing, but all these independent lines of evidence pointing in the very same direction. I mean, think about it. You've got the Greek grammar, the original Hebrew psalm, the pre-Christian Jewish translation of that psalm, a whole cascade of ancient versions from all over the world, and all the writings of the early church leaders. Every single layer of evidence converges on the exact same conclusion. So the bottom line is this. The idea that God the Father calls the Son God isn't some newfangled interpretation. It's not a doctrine that was invented centuries later. It's just a matter of reading the text as it was written and as it was universally understood by everyone in the ancient world. And that leaves us with one final, kind of startling question. For well over 1,000 years, from Jewish translators long before Christ to the entire early global church, there was a single, unified way of reading this verse. The ancient world spoke with one voice. So what changed? Now that's a question we're thinking about.